Welcome back to another episode of Going For It, and it's just going to be a duo for this round, this segment, maybe this evening. Who knows?
Going for Dwa.
Just yeah, I mean, we cut off. Let's be real. We cut the fat from the program. We only have the brains here now.
Only the
Um,
brains. That's it. No pinky, just brains.
only the big brains are here to play tonight. No, I kid. We do need Craig because he does throw a little bit of kindling on the fire. But I am here with Mike Thomas tonight for our first segment back. We are going to just discuss. There's been a lot of contract movement on the first. I mean, in the last 24 hours before training camp starts. Justin Herbert signing a deal for $262.5 million.
Yikes.
Guarantees can get up to 218.7 mil. That's a lot of fucking money.
That is an understatement. I do believe that man is set. This is just the beginning.
Even if he doesn't get the full guarantee, I think is still guaranteed over 100 mil base. Like if he were to just lose his arm in a canoeing incident like today, he would still make $113 million. I'm pretty sure
he's got 133.7 million guaranteed at signing. 193 million in injury guarantees at signing, and then apparently the remainders of his guaranteed monies vest at least a year before they're paid. So he's going to be doing just fine. And it's amazing that, I mean, it's been this way for as long as I can remember at this point. Anytime a quarterback that is somewhat known is up for a contract, unless they are known for being bad, they're going to be signing a monster contract that is either one of the top or makes them the top overall. And it's just, it's a silly stat. Like we were talking in our last recording, or maybe the last two recordings, that Justin Herbert still has to prove it. He's had his good years. He has shown the promise. He has shown the potential, but he's still young and he has to do it for an extended period of time. And it's just, that's how thirsty the NFL is for franchise quarterbacks, that if you smell like a franchise quarterback, you are going to get paid.
I mean, I think a lot of people would even argue that last season wasn't even his best season. Like he's been in the league for I think 4 years now. No, 3 years, because he's got 2 years left. He's got his fourth year and his fifth year option, which they're obviously going to pick up because that's still going to underpay him most likely. And I think people would argue that last year was his worst year, and maybe that's a little bit of bias because that playoff game was a nightmare. You should not have lost that game to Jacksonville, but
just in terms of stats, when did they switch to an 18-week regular season and add the 17th game? Was it last season, the first one, or was it 2 years
last year? I think last year was the first season.
He had less yards last year than the year before. He had the career low in touchdowns, still had double-digit interceptions and a career low in QB rating. His completion percentage was up slightly. But yeah, I think the stats show he was a little bit down last year. And I had the same thing just from going through the year. Not that I watch a lot of Chargers games, but the feeling was he wasn't as dominant as he was those first 2 years and as exciting as those first 2 years, but not like in a bad way, just in a he's a human type of way.
Yeah. And I think he lost his left tackle in training camp last year, and they had problems along the offensive line all year. So that is obviously going to change things. I can't tell you the last time Keenan Allen played a full season, if it's ever happened. So obviously that being the main piece out there other than Austin Eckler, that's a problem. They have Mike Williams, who also has back problems and knee problems and ankle so my concern is they put all this money into Justin Herbert, who I'm a big fan of. I believe in Justin Herbert. I would argue he's the he's in the top 4. I think he's in that Josh Allen range. I don't think he's gotten the Josh Allen hype behind him, but I think Allen has a lot. Allen has Diggs. He's got better play callers. He's got better supporting cast. That offensive line is at least decent. But I put him in the top 4 based on talent, intangibles, his ability. But I worry about the pieces. Eckler's obviously not happy. Requested a trade last year, didn't get done. Mike Williams is always hurt. Keenan Allen's always hurt. They drafted Quentin Johnson. So, like, cool, you got a rookie wide receiver, but, like, it's going to be 2 years, 3 years before really anything comes of that. So I just worry that they're not supporting him enough, but I guess we'll see this year. That division is a killer. That
Yeah,
division is,
it's tough.
and like, you let him walk and you're just going to bottom feed in that division forever. So, like,
Yeah, no, they
what's
had
your
to sign him.
alternative? Yeah.
Yeah, they
Like,
had to
what's your
sign him,
alternative?
and his agent is going to make him sign, make it be a monster contract, and
Yeah.
everybody knows that. You say you're a fan of Justin Herbert. I'm an X-Files fan. I want to believe. That's my. I want to believe that Justin
Doo-doo.
Herbert is the dude. I am pretty sure he is, but to me, if you're just asking me of like who should get those monster contracts, well, I think he's pretty good, and I think he has a chance of being a good guy, one of the top 5 in the league. I think that's enough to be like, no, don't give him the best of all time. But the NFL is a giant business, and that's not how the business of the NFL is run.
They just print money, dude. The NFL just
Oh,
prints money. That's all
it's
it does.
ridiculous.
It's insane. As I say, as I'm wearing my Giants draft hat, I give them dollars. I just do it. So Herbert, highest paid quarterback in the league right now, jumping Lamar Jackson, who I think has even less of a case than Justin Herbert to be paid, in my opinion. I am not a Lamar Jackson believer, but you see him more than me. So I'm curious your take on that.
I agree. I think that at their peak, Jackson can do things Herbert physically can't. But who's going to be a better long-term fixture for the franchise? Because LA is not just signing him for these, what is it, a 5-year deal, a 7-year
Yeah.
deal? They're not just signing him for these years. They want him to sign again. And they hope they're paying him as if he's going to be the dude that they pay another big contract to because they want him to be their franchise quarterback. I don't think Lamar Jackson has that potential to be the guy next go around.
To go again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. Lamar. So yeah, I agree. I think Lamar does things that Herbert can't, but I also think with the arm, Herbert does things that Lamar can't. I don't know that
True.
Lamar has that deep ball that Herbert has. But then again, like, if the dude can't stay in a clean pocket, doesn't have weapons around him, it doesn't matter. It doesn't
No.
matter. So we'll see. That head coach, Brandon Staley, I think is his name, is on the hot seat for sure this season. Blowing that, I thought he was going to lose his job after the Jacksonville loss. Personally, I was like, it doesn't matter what you've done the last couple of years. You blew that lead in a half, in one half of football. You're gone. Like, I think any other franchise boots that guy.
I will say there's one interesting element to these quarterback contracts that I don't think we've discussed necessarily, and I don't hear too many people talking about. It's the fact that the salary cap goes up so significantly year after year after year. Signing these guys to monster long-term contracts now and locking them in for those couple of years, it does mean that in like 3 years, this contract's not going to be that bad. Like,
Yeah.
where's Patrick Mahomes on the list of
Eighth.
highest paid quarterbacks? He's 8th.
He is
there you go.
8th.
Look at the monster value that the Kansas City Chiefs are getting for Mahomes on that contract that he signed. How many? At least a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago, maybe a year ago.
Only 2 years later.
Yeah.
And he has now dropped down to the 8th highest paid quarterback in
And
the
he
league.
will be 9th once Burrow signs his deal, because he's going to reset the market again.
Yes.
And there's even rumor that he's getting his number will move because it was rumored that he's talking about percentage of cap. He's not going to be set at a number. When the cap goes up, his money goes up, which
Ooh,
is insane to
that
me.
is going to be, that's interesting.
Well,
That
and then like,
makes,
where do you draw the line? Do you like, when is it like, okay, we're gonna give you 4% equity in the team, and you're gonna do that? And not that owners would do this; they're all selfish, old like gimmies. But like, if a guy like Patrick Mahomes was to break loose in the next 4 years for whatever reason, whatever, something happens, and they're like, oh no, we can't, we got to cut Patrick, like, you're like, all right, I'll give you 5% of the team and you can have 7% of the cap, and there you go.
interesting. Can they do that?
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know that the CBA has like been thought that far ahead, because
Well,
like, percentage of cap, are you serious? That's insane. That's
and I know
wild.
that when people are putting a bid on
That's like
NFL
a messy
teams,
thing.
yeah. But when you're putting a bid on an NFL team, like you have to kind of get that background approval from the owners to become an owner.
Right.
And I wonder if that establishes, like, if you own a team already and you want to bring in another minority owner to the
If they
team, does
have to
that
go
person
through
have to
that
get approved by the
process.
other 32 ownerships or not? Because if they do, there's no way a quarterback is going to pass that.
They're
None.
gonna be like, fuck this guy.
Yeah. No, you are not paying your star quarterbacks in shares of the business.
Yeah. I mean, it's still wild. I can't believe that like this is where we're heading. Like, Tom Brady, what, 2 years ago was making like $25 million, and everyone was like, he's the most underpaid quarterback in the world. And it's like, Patrick Mahomes is eighth, about to be ninth, and like, I don't even know who comes next. Like, I don't know who the next signing. Trevor Lawrence is probably going to have a really good contract that might go above Patty and what he makes, and like, it could get weird. It could get super weird here. And like, Daniel Jones keeps going down. He's sitting, I think, 12th or 13th. It's like the 13th highest paid quarterback. And I'm like,
Which
that's the
is
sweet
kind of
spot.
where he belongs.
You should be in this area, this
Yeah,
general vicinity. I feel good about.
that is almost where he probably ranks in terms of overall quarterbacks in the league.
I mean, I on my best day, I can argue for him to be like borderline top 10. So
Sure.
like, being in that area, I feel good about it. Like, we'll see after this season how good I feel about it, but that's where I generally put him. And like, it feels good when your GM can negotiate a contract and you see where it falls in line with quarterbacks, and you're like, yeah, all right, okay. Like,
Mm-hmm.
to even backtrack further on the quarterback contract thing, like, when Kirk Cousins got 3 years fully guaranteed from Minnesota, everyone was like, Kirk Cousins? You gave Kirk Cousins a fully guaranteed all of it contract? Really? And it's just like, the league is on another level right now. It's insane.
They're printing money, as you said, and they're so thirsty for quarterbacks that as long as you show that you could potentially be the guy, even if it's potentially be the guy one day, you're going to get paid. You're going to
Yeah.
get paid.
Yeah. It's a good time to be a quarterback. It's a good time you
Oh,
can't
it's
get
a
hit.
great
You can't
time.
get hit here. You can't get hit below the waist. They can only hit you in this area, and like, you're making bags of money.
Yeah.
Bags of money.
Yeah. I'm watching the quarterbacks on Netflix, and I just got to the episode
So
where they
good.
start to tour Mahomes' house that he's building.
Wild.
And that house is awesome looking.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool. It's done. I don't know if you saw the pictures that have been floating around on the internet, but like, everything's
Mm-mm.
done now and they're in there. I think the last episode oh, my light died. In the last episode, I think they tour the house, like they moved in or whatever, and he's kind of showing it off a little bit. It's awesome. It's so cool.
The episode that I just watched, I can't remember what number it is. He's walking through the house with his wife, but it's still under construction. So they have a basketball court, and they just hung the hoops up, and they're not, these are the nice,
Oh yeah.
the nice gym, the retractable the retractable backboards and rims. And he's
Speakers
like,
and
what are those black things on the ceiling? Are those speakers? I'm like, yes, they're speakers. They're clearly speakers. You know they're speakers. You wanted them there.
You're setting us up. Stop gaslighting me, Patrick.
Way to humble brag us, 8th best paid quarterback in the league.
I love it. I'm excited to talk about quarterback. We're going to get into that in another segment, but also how awesome is this series? Like, just quick tangent. How awesome is, like, I loved it. I binged it, the whole thing, in 2 days, and it is so cool.
I like it a lot. I will leave it at that. I like it a lot. I have criticisms of it, but that would be it. Would it really be me talking if there wasn't a criticism in there?
It's a valid point. It's a valid point.
No, I've got criticisms.
I mean, we'll talk about them. We'll talk about them. I'm excited. I have feelings about all 3 quarterbacks. I also have feelings about Brittany Mahomes, who I read like a thread today where people were like, she's so annoying. And like, I watched quarterback and I was like, I understand her so much more now. I don't find her annoying anymore. I get it. But that's just me. That's just me. Everybody's got their own opinions, got their own feelings. I just don't like Jackson. Anytime I see Mahomes' brother, I'm like, fuck that guy.
Yeah, I haven't noticed him in the series. I think he does make an appearance at some point, right?
He shows up. He's more like background. Like, they did a really good job of not having his face.
Yes, they did a very smart decision of keeping him out of it.
Yeah, he's a lightning rod. So real quick, we've talked a lot about quarterbacks because that's what drives this league. But Saquon Barkley signed with my New York Giants. Did not miss a day of training camp. Very excited. He signed a contract that is worth up to $11 million. I feel good about it. We're going to talk about running backs here in a minute. That is going to be our big segment, I feel like, for the night.
Mm-hmm.
Giants also locked up their left tackle, Andrew Thomas. He signed a 5-year deal for $117.5 million. He reset the offensive tackle market. He's got the highest guaranteed amount in the league right now at $67 million.
So he has another 0 behind his contract than Saquon does?
He does. We should have flipped all the tables, be upset because the left tackle should be paid less than the star running back. Hey. I got feelings. We're going to get to that. Another big quarterback news. Aaron Rodgers he minimized his deal. Speaking of all these guys getting paid, Aaron Rodgers was like, I need to be paid a little less, guys. Took a $35 million pay cut. Went from the 110 guaranteed to 75 mil guaranteed. Because I think he's aware the Jets have to pay some guys here in the next couple years. Even though the cap goes up, like, wide receivers are expensive, and Garrett Wilson is showing that he's going to be a guy that's going to demand top dollar. I think there's some guys along the offensive line that are coming up on deals. And if we know anything about Aaron, when he can stand up in the pocket, he's going to pick you apart. So I think he realizes that and maybe is taking a little preemptive cut to maybe elongate the career, or he's like, fuck it, we're going to make a run this year.
You know, I think you nailed it with that last one. I was reading that his existing contract that they just replaced, and I could be wrong on all this stuff, and I'm not a contract wizard.
We're not that.
Yeah, not that at all. But from what I understood, he was supposed to get paid a very small amount of money in 2023 and then get like over $100 million.
Yeah.
Next year,
like $107 million or something like that.
But, and like this year was like what, one? It was like 1 million this year.
Yeah, it was really small.
So it was basically meant it's a poison pill. Like the team would have to restructure before they get to 2024. So I'm looking at sporttrack.com, which has a breakdown of his contract. I don't know if these numbers are accurate or not, but it does look like he is going to, of that $75 million, it looks like about half of it gets paid this year and half of it gets paid next year. So he did take less overall, gets more this year.
Yeah.
And to your point, if he's got his mindset of I'm a one and done type of thing, that still might work out better for him.
Yeah, I mean he hasn't, and it's the Aaron Rodgers way, right? Like since he started on McAfee and since he's been doing stuff, like he's been the Mr. Mysterious. You know, he doesn't commit to anything, but like has not committed to a second year with the Jets. He had that second year on his deal left anyway. And like I think he acknowledged that if I don't play next year, I'm gonna make dick this year. And like, yeah, the money's guaranteed he's gonna get paid regardless, but like, why not get a little more up front and then like on the back half, if they nickel and dime you and pay you out over the 20 years or whatever, like it's guaranteed. I don't know how the contract's laid out, but like all I know is that you need to pay him at some point in time. Like I don't know if they're able to put off that payment and piece it out into, the Bobby Bonilla deal or Bonilla deal,
Yeah,
one of
I
those kind
think
of things. But
I don't know how it works in terms of that. I feel like the cap hit is spread out over 5 years because they
right.
structured it with a couple of optional years.
Oh, they love that. They love the
Yeah, so
optional
his
year, the
cap
void
hit this
years.
year is only like 8.8 million. Next year it's 45 million. Then it's 21 million cap hit in 2025 and then 7 million in each of 26 and 27.
There's no way he plays on those deals.
No.
There's no way he's still in the league in 3 years.
No. So,
in my opinion, but who knows? I just think I don't know. Jets are excited about him. I have friends that are Jets fans, very excited that Aaron is in town, and I get it. They haven't had a good quarterback since Chad Pennington. Was he a good quarterback?
ooh, I feel like they've had some okay ones. Chad Pennington's up there.
Sanchez was fine.
Sanchez was fine. Sanchez had flashes, but
Sanchez
then he
was
also
propped up
had
by a
butt
Rex
fumbles.
Ryan defense. Oh,
That
the
is
butt fumble.
that is true. But there were a lot of really good quarterbacks that got propped up at points in their careers by really good defenses. Hello, Tom Brady's early part of his career.
For sure. Like 2 or 3 of those Super Bowls, Brady can accredit to the defense wholeheartedly.
Yeah, for sure.
The first one
Vinny
for sure.
Testaverde was pretty good.
Good old Vinny.
He was old. I remember him as just
old.
being an old guy.
He was an old guy for a long time,
For a
too.
long time in
He
this
was
league.
floating around like 5 years ago, and I was like, dude, you need to retire.
Was he that long?
I feel like maybe it wasn't 5 years ago. Maybe it was like
He's
8 or 10.
59 years old.
Jesus, please don't be 5 years ago.
He was in the NFL for 21 years.
Oh my God.
He was drafted in 1987 and his last year was with the Panthers in 2007.
I was going to say, I feel like he was a Panther.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the Testaverde jersey and I was just like, well, this guy's going to die on the field, I think. I think this is what's going to happen. I think this is where he wants to go.
Hey, it was his choice.
It's what he wanted. He was happy that way. But yeah, I think I'm very interested to see what happens with Rodgers. He's like I said, he's very non-committal, but that's just the Aaron way. I think we'll see even more of that when the Jets embark upon Hard Knocks this season. We haven't gotten to talk about this yet, and it wasn't in the outline, so we'll touch on it now, but I am so excited and also unexcited about this Hard Knocks. I don't know where I fall on the spectrum.
Every year, I get super excited for Hard Knocks because the show always delivers. There are years where they don't have the drama or the stars, and it's less.
Last year, Detroit.
Oh, I disagree. I thought last year the coaching staff was the star.
Absolutely. But like I meant stars as in like the player name, right? The year before was what, Dallas, and they were like, look, it's Zeke, look, it's Dak, look, it's this, look, yeah.
But there are some of the best seasons are when they find those guys on the bubble that you haven't heard of, but they're super charismatic and there's a ton of drama in their battle to make the team. And then there's years that those guys don't exist. And they don't, But the NFL Films does such a great job with Hard Knocks that to me it's appointment television every season. I can't remember the last one I didn't watch and thoroughly enjoy. So I am super excited for Hard Knocks to come out. I also do not want to see behind the scenes with Aaron Rodgers. I just don't. I'm not interested in that at all.
He's kind of a
So
butthole. He's like a little bit of a butthole.
I kind of, but at the same time, like I say that, I'm going to be really irritated if he's not focused on the
He's gonna
show
be
because they don't
focused.
always focus on the stars.
Yeah, it's
So
true.
I don't want to have too much time with him on the show, but I also feel like the show would be a miss if they don't focus on him. So I don't know what the hell I want.
You know what they'll do? They'll have him in one episode, but they'll
Could
have
be.
that whole episode be circled around him, and then they won't talk about him ever again. Like it'll be like episode 2. They'll like everyone gets to training camp, they're doing their thing, everything's awesome. Second, episode, new guy, new quarterback, finding his way, working with Zach Wilson. We're having a great time. Mormons are awesome or whatever. And then next episode, you just literally see him throwing the ball and nothing else.
I think or they do that or they don't show him at all until the last shot and it's just they pan out from the training facility and we see that the training facility is in a snow globe that Aaron Rodgers is holding and that's how the series ends.
And he says, "Fuck the Packers." That would be awesome. He never will, but that would be so cool.
No.
But no, I'm excited. I say I'm not sure, but I'm excited. I agree with you. I think Hard Knocks is like appointment television. It's just I feel like the NFL's putting a lot of eggs in this Jets basket early, and I feel like they do this every year with a team. They go all in on a team, and I always feel like that team that they're like even in Hard Knocks, like last year they were like Detroit, and like Detroit almost sort of kind of made the playoffs, which is really cool for them. But like the year before, Dallas was the one, and they were like Super Bowl contenders, and it was like, no, they're not.
With Hard Knocks, you're saying?
Yeah, with Hard Knock, and then like obviously the in-season ones, like they've had 2 terrible choices so far.
As much as I love preseason Hard Knocks, I have not seen a single episode of in-season Hard Knocks. They put it on a bad night.
It is a bad night.
They put it on a bad night at a bad time. So it airs what? It's like Wednesday
I think
night
it's
at
Wednesday.
10
Yeah.
that it comes out. So I'm sorry. I'm old with a kid. I'm not watching that. I'm asleep by that point.
I'm not as old as you, and I'm exactly the same. Like my child goes to sleep before your child, and I'm not as old as you, and I'm still even like, I'm not watching that. If
Yeah,
I'm gonna stay up and watch the Thursday night game, which I would rather do, I'm gonna watch the
exactly.
Thursday night game. I'm not gonna stay up and watch this bullshit.
So it needs to come out on frickin' Tuesday so that people have Tuesday night to watch it live.
Oh,
People like us can watch it on tape on Wednesday and
yeah.
and then we have the Thursday night game cuz what you said is 100% what happens in our household. Do we want to watch Hard Knocks or the crappy Thursday night football game? Well, live crappy football is going to be better than taped crappy Hard Knocks. So that's what we're going to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. And like sometimes you get a good Thursday football game, which is like the first one, like the 8th one, and then like the 10th one are all really good games. And then everyone in between is terrible.
Yeah. But the problem with the good ones is I'm asleep by the time they get good.
Yeah.
I have aged to the point. There's a couple of times in your life when you hit milestones as you age. One, I have switched to single player games only for video games. Just I don't have the twitch reflexes anymore to succeed in multiplayer games or the time and patience to sit there and like memorize every little nook and cranny of the Call of Duty maps and all that stuff. So it's single player Game City for me. That part sucked. The going to bed early. And now I firmly believe something that college and 20-year-old me would have slapped my mouth had I heard myself saying this. They have football on too many nights a week. I don't need a Thursday night game every week.
Yeah, I don't love it every week. I think, and maybe we would feel differently if they were like better games. Like I feel like Thursday night is the game that they get out of the way so that the 1 o'clock games can flow a little better. But I think
See,
it would be a different feeling if it was like a Monday, if it mirrored Monday night, because if you all Monday night football games are really good, and if it's not, they flex it out and like switch it.
those are the Sunday
Thursday you
games. The
or
Sunday
Sunday,
games that they
sorry, yeah.
flex. Yeah.
But Monday, typically when they make the schedule, all the Monday night football games are like, okay, this is either a divisional game, which is very important, or
Mm-hmm.
it's a rivalry game between someone who's not in the division, but they fucking hate each other.
Yeah.
And
Like Bengals and Chiefs.
yeah, they're like, fuck these guys. Like, and then you get Chargers and Bills, and like you get some awesome matchups in those games. And Thursday, they're like, yeah, I think last year it was like, yeah, we're gonna put the Cardinals and the Jets, and it's like, who wants this game ever?
But it's because they have to, like, every team has to play on Thursday night because it's
Yeah,
such an inconvenience to
because
the
it's so
teams.
shitty.
I'm sorry. I understand that the NFL is like more of a good thing, makes us more money. So therefore, we're going to do it and we're going to shove it down your throats. But I am of the opinion of sometimes less is more. Less Thursday night football games are a good thing. I love week 1 Thursday night games. That is such a fantastic game because the teams have like 2 or 3 weeks to prep for it.
Oh yeah.
And they have the time on the back end to rest and prep for the next game after. So I love those first week Thursday night games. I love Thanksgiving Thursday night
Oh
games.
yeah, Thanksgiving
And
games
that's
are the best.
pretty much it. That's
all
kind
I
of the
care about.
majority that I want. If there's a
mean,
hurricane, I'll take a Tuesday game and a Wednesday afternoon game and shit like that.
good
But
old
that's
Wednesday
the
afternoon.
extent. Give me Sundays, Mondays, sometimes Thursdays, and 1 or 2 Saturdays at the end of the season, because that's all that my caveman brain can handle.
Yeah, I think young Mike Thomas would be very upset with you.
He'd be slapping the shit out of my mouth right now.
He'd be upset. But I mean, you make a very convincing point that like, yeah, who wants to stay up and watch the Jets Cardinals of last year? Like Kyler's hurt, the Jets are out of it. You're like, why even have this game? Why can't you guys just play Madden against each other, and then whoever wins the Madden game can win the game? Because that would be more interesting than whatever the fuck you're gonna do.
It does make me want to move to the West Coast. Like, if those games didn't start at 8:30, if they started at 5:30 and I could come home, I could listen to them on the radio on the way home from work and turn it on while I'm cooking dinner and then sit as dinner's done, you're in the second half and it's good, and then you turn it off and it's still like, okay, time to put the kids to bed.
Yeah.
And then we can watch an episode of Secret Invasion. Then that's like living life high on the hog.
Yeah, I did do 3 months out on the West Coast in my youth, and that was the like, I hated it. I'm a northeastern guy, and like everyone moves so slow out west that I just like couldn't handle it. That's why I only lasted 3 months. But that was a major benefit. Was like football starts at 10.
Yeah.
I was like, this is awesome.
And also, I don't think it's a coincidence, in my early 20s when I wanted football all the time, I was having to set alarms to wake up in time for the 1 o'clock games.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I've been up for 8 hours. It is time to get this game going so I can nap and start the rest of my day.
I agree with that. Last year was my first year with a child during football season, and like I was like, this game needs to hurry up because I need something. I need a reprieve. I need to like anything. Please. I've been up since 6 a.m. Give me something to take my attention away. Please.
And the London games aren't it. The London games are not it.
No. London. This year they're doing Germany. There's some weird stuff. We need to get on the horn with the NFL. Let's just
let's
give them a call.
Go further away from us and do games. Go further into the future and do games to send back to us. That's what we need.
Yeah, I mean, why not? You know, Jacksonville's home field advantage in London. Let's see who takes Germany. Who's going to be the German team? Um,
It's
Lord,
definitely going to be the Patriots, right?
for sure it's got to be. There's no other option because
Yeah.
they're the bad guys, and Germans, even though they've like propped themselves up since negative history, they have to be the bad guys. They're always the bad guys.
They have to.
They have to.
They have to.
This is the way the world works. Sorry,
One of the
Germans.
funniest bits is Steve Carell saying nice things in German, and it sounds horrible, but it's hilarious.
Such an angry language. It's just so
Yeah.
mean. But they know it. They know it. Regardless, we've tangented enough. Guys, thank you for listening to our spiel about these contracts, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, all that good stuff. We will be back. I think we're going to up our posting schedule. I think we're going to do 2 videos a week now, because there's just so much going on, or there will be so much going on with more free agent signings and more training camp and preseason and all that stuff. Thursday night games to complain about. So I think we're going to up it. And yeah, so just keep a lookout for that. I will try to be more active on social media, but I don't like it. So it's hard for me, but we'll figure it
Get
out.
off Twitter. Go to Threads.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I'll
I'm
figure it
sorry,
out.
X.
Get off
X
X.
going to get you.
Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. Please like, comment, and subscribe down below. Tell us how much you missed Craig's bright, bald, shiny head. And we will see you guys all back here next time.
Peace.